Welcome back, students. I am your SST teacher Vandana Joshi and you are watching SST June. Students, today we are going to revise chapter 7 from history, which is telling us about the development of the human beings. The chapter name is Tribes, Nomads and the Settled Communities, under which we will study the activities of the tribes and the nomads and how they settle down, and we will also take a look on the Gonds and the Ahom community. So let's start our today's revision. So students, as we know that in the medieval period there are different type of jatis and the subcaste, and some varna system was also there, in which there were 4 varnas, that is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. Even the society was divided into the different religion and various occupations. Like if we talk about according to occupation wise, there were some weavers, goldsmiths, carpenters, fishermen and the potter as well. There were, however, other kind of societies as well. So these society neither follow the social rules and ritual prescribed by the Hindus and the Muslim society, nor were they divided into numerous unique classes as the Varnas. Such societies were considered as the tribes or the Adivasis. Tribe is a group of people of the same race who follow their own customs and have their own religions and their languages. So first let's see about the tribal societies. During the medieval period, most of the tribal communities lived in dense forest, mountains, hills, deserts, etc. Their society was organized on democratic and cooperative lines. Their head was chosen collectively by the tribe for his powers and the intellect. The members of each tribe were united by kinship bonds. Some of them obtained their livelihood from agriculture, others were hunters, food collectors, and cattle breeders. Some of them followed other occupations such as selling their goods and entertaining people with their songs, dance, and the folk tales, as many times you have seen in the videos and the pictures of Adivasis. Tribes usually thrived in the forest, hills, and the desert area. It was not possible to an ordinary man to reach in the interior of the dense forest. They liked to retain their independent identity and preserve their own cultures. Their social conditions were very poor. The forest dwellers often exchanged their products such as ghee, honey, wool, medicine, herbs, etc. for grain, cotton, utensil, jewelry from the village. They were engaged in practicing many social evils such as child marriage and dowry as well. But what are the sources of information about these tribal peoples? As the tribe led an isolated and often nomadic life, it was very difficult to know about them. Contemporary historians and travelers from medieval period hardly give any information about the tribe. So there are no written records available about the tribals. They passed their customs and tradition from one generation to another generation orally. There were a lots of important tribal communities such as Kokar and Gakkar tribes of Punjab, the Langas and Argunas of Multan and Sindh, the Balochs of Northwest, Gaddis of Himachal, the Nagas Ahom of Northeast, the Cheros of Bihar and Jharkhand, the Mundas and Santals of Bihar, Odisha and Bengal. the Gonds in Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh. And there were lots of other important tribes of Indian subcontinent. Rather than the tribes, some Banjaras or we can say some mobile communities were also there. So these mobile communities are comprised of nomads. They do not live at one place and keep on traveling. The gypsies and the Banjaras belong to their we can say traveling group. They were similar to the warriors class of Central Asia. Even today, we can see in many parts of India the nomads with their herds of animals. Some of the nomads were exclusively pastoral tribes. They survived on milk products and exchanged ghee, wool, etc. with the farmers for grain, clothes, utensils, etc. They also transport food grains on their bullocks for the armies. Gaddis and Gujaras were example of such type of nomads. Let's see a little about the Banjaras. The Banjaras were known as trader vendors. They moved from one place to another in caravans, which is known as tandas. During the medieval period, Sultan Alauddin Khilji employed Banjaras to bring grain to the city market. The Mughal Emperor Jahangir wrote that Banjaras collected grains from different parts and sold it in towns. There were lots of stories of the Banjaras and the tribes. But how the tribal society became changed? During the medieval period, the tribal people and nomads remained separate from the settled communities. But due course of time, they began to expose to new culture. They began to change their scheduled lifestyle. They started to live a settled life and took up agriculture. Lands were made available for cultivation through the clearing of forest. New settlements of towns and cities began to emerge. Even later, new Jati Vyavastha became more complex than the Varn Vyavastha because many tribal communities now they were following some Jati Vyavastha as well. It led the formation of larger social and political units like states. The Gonds and Ahom were two tribal groups who obtained power as compared to the other communities and independent kingdom as well. So now we will study about the Gonds and the Ahoms. So first we will see the Gondas. The Gonds were one of the most powerful tribal communities in Central Asia, known for their unique custom and the tradition. The term Gond is derived from the Telugu word Kond, which means hill. They were spread across central India, including part of Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, and Odisha. However, their traditional habitats was the hill forest region of Central Asia known as the Gondwana land or Garha Katanga, the land inhabited by the Gondas. In the late 14th century, Gonds began to organize themselves into big groups. Later turned into the kingdoms as well. They had formed their kingdoms even before the Turkish invasion. They ruled in about 10th century in the forested region of Narmada Valley. Many Gond kingdom established in the Mughal time. During Akbar's region, Gahakatanga was ruled by one of the most powerful kings. The large Gonda tribes was divided into many clans, each under a chief called Ral. The Gond chiefs wanted to become famous and influential. So out of them, the famous king was Amandas, and later Dalpat, the son and the successor of Amandas. He married Durgavati, who was a Chandela princess of Mahoba state. After the death of Dalpat Shah, Rani Durgavati ruled and expanded the kingdom. She ruled with great ability and wisdom, and even she is a very brave ruler of that Gonda empire. But later, in 1789, the Marathas occupied the state, and finally in 1817, the state was annexed by the British Empire. The second famous community was the Ahoms. The Ahoms were a tribal community who established a powerful kingdom in the region of present-day Assam. The name Assam is also derived from the word Ahom. The Ahom tribe ruled over Assam for more than 6 centuries. The Ahoms originally belonged to the Maoshan tribe of China. They moved from China to Myanmar. They moved into Brahmaputra Valley in the early 13th century. At that time, Assam was known as the Kamarupa. The first Ahom ruler, Sukapa, established his capital at Cheridev near the present-day Shibasagar. In due course of time, Ahom increased their dominance over large areas. From the 15th century onward, Assam witnessed many changes in social, cultural, and the political life of the people. Ahom tribals were very brave. They expanded their territories by defeating the local rulers. The kingdom of Ahom reached its height during the rule of Rudra Singh. He established trade relations with Tibet and built the grand city of Rangapura. He was very skilled in warfare. The tribal community of the Ahom were very powerful. They followed their traditional religions and spoke Thai language. Later, they adopted the Assami language and converted to the Hinduism. The society was divided into clans or khel, which means the different clans into which the Ahom society was divided, or the group of people. A khel often controlled several villages. They present got land from village community, and even the king could not take the land without the community's consent. The peasants cultivated food crops, especially rice. All male adults had to serve army in time of emergency. The Ahom kept good records and are known for their chronicles called Burunjis. It is said that the Burunjis were the first recorded history of tribes in India. So students, here we can see that the orthodox system of Hinduism, which was divided into different caste, religions, and the jatis or the Varna Vyavastha. The tribals were over these all things. But later, when they socialized, they also invented their own tradition and the customs. And nowadays, the tribal groups are also developed and living a simple life. So students, here your today's revision of the chapter number 7, Tribes, Nomads and the Settled Communities is complete. Here I am providing you few questions which you can answer in the comment box.